Hindus, others who believe that God became man. The question is, isn't God able to do all things? The question. If a Christian throws that on you, try to explain to him, no, Jesus wasn't God and so on and so on. And he says, couldn't God become Jesus if he wanted to? Question. We know in the Quran, Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Verily Allah is able to do all things. So as a Muslim, usually we've got our back up against the wall now. We have to admit, yes, Allah is able to do all things. So this is their judgment, this is their argument, and then really the thing ends. But actually, this is a mistaken understanding on our own part, because we shouldn't have answered to them yes. We have to qualify that. It's not just a blanket yes. Yes, Allah is able to do all things. No, it's qualified. Because when Allah describes the heresy of the Christians believing that Allah has a son, Allah says, وَلَا يَنْبَغِي, is not befitting that he has a son. It doesn't befit God that he has a son. So what it's saying, what it's referring to here, is that when we say Allah is able to do all things, we do not include in that statement absurdities. The absurdities, the things which are nonsensical, things which are totally illogical, contradict all sense. Meaning, that same person who says, for now, since you can know how to deal with it, the person says to you, yes, I believe Allah can do all things. You ask him, God can do all things. Well, do you believe that God is without beginning? Yes, God. Do you believe that God doesn't die? Yes. God is without beginning or end. This is part of the generally accepted definition of God. Eternal. He is eternally living without beginning or end. So then, you ask that same person who agrees that God is without beginning or end. Can God be born? No. They're stuck. They have to say no. Because you just said that God, what means to me be God means you're not born, it's without beginning. And to say yes, God can. Because what happens is that this is what the atheist philosophers used to do to mess up the minds of the Christian theologians. They would come to them and say the same thing. You believe that God is able to do all things? Yes, it's what we hold. God is able to do all things. Can God create a stone which is too heavy for him to lift? Christian theologian, his head is spinning now, He's got a problem. He needs to say yes, because God is able to do all things. But logically, he says the stone is too heavy for him to lift. What is this? The stone is greater than God in that sense, isn't it? And he's stuck. Dilemma. Right? So it's the same kind of rationalization we bring to him here. We say to him, can God be born? They have to say no. Okay. Obviously not. Because we said God means the one without beginning. Can God die? No. Because that's what it means to be God. If he died, he wasn't God. So these and all the things like them are the absurdities that are not included when we say God is able to do all things. Included with that is God becoming man. That is among the absurdities. Because God is the creator. So this is his attribute of being creator, who is uncreated. Right? Uncreated, because if he had a beginning, then he was created. If he's without beginning, means he's uncreated. Eternal, uncreated. He is the creator. So for God to become a man, man is created. Part of the creation. In need of a creator. So it's a contradiction in terms. How can the creator become his creation? If he became his creation, he would be in need of a creator, and he's no longer the creator. The one who created him was the creator, not him. This is the contradiction. So it is an absurdity to propose or to suppose that God could become a man. Absurdity. Similarly, God having a son. This is another absurdity. Because to conceive of it, you explain to them in simple, very basic terms. You tell them, listen, when a cat has a baby, called a kitten, we have a little cat. When a cow has a baby, we call a calf, which is a little cow. When a man has a baby or a child, a little man. You have a big man, little man. Now when God has a son, what do you call that? A little God. So you have a big God and a little God. So it's absurd. You're already putting it in the realm of two gods. Absurd. And absurd because all of these concepts really, what it does is it is making God like his creation. Making God like his creation. This is the essence of it. They're trying to conceive of God through his creation. This is why the Christian, when he wants to argue with you about the Trinity, he wants to defend his Trinity, he says, God's like an egg. Egg. God is like an egg. There's the shell. There's the white of the egg. There's the yolk. 3 parts. But it's one egg. 3 gods in one. We tell them, no. God's not like an egg. Egg is an egg. God is unique. It's not an egg. Or they'll come to you and they say, God's like a tree. Tree? Yes, the tree, it has branches. It has a trunk. The middle part. And it has roots in the ground. It's one tree though. So it has these 3 parts that make up the one tree. Nonsense. God is not a tree. So you're making God like his creation. It is all part of that inability, as we said, to conceive of God beyond his creation. Related to that also is the concept of the intermediary. The intermediary between man and God. Prayers sent through Jesus or through the idols of the Hindus. They say it's a means of focusing their prayers to God. Or amongst ignorant Muslims, prayers